Hi, friends, and welcome to another episode of Lionsgate Podcast with Sahdi and Omni. I'm Omni.
And I'm Sahdi.
And today we are going over part 3 of our true crime crossover about the Murdaugh murders, and we are honoring Mallory Beach. The way this will go down is we're going to go over what happened. We're going to go over the case, what we've researched, what our theories are, and then at the end, if possible, we're going to try to channel Mallory Beach. It is not 100% that she'll come through, but we are going to try. If you haven't tuned into the 2 previous episodes, I recommend that you do that. There's a lot to this case. That's why we are honoring each victim in each episode. Just a quick disclaimer because of who we're dealing with. Everything said on this podcast is based on our personal opinions and theories based off of everything that we have seen that has already been published or read or listened to. Now, the Murdaughs are a prominent family in South Carolina. Alec Murdaugh's family, including his great-grandfather down to his father, served as a solicitor on the 14th Judicial Circuit from 1920 to 2006, which is an elected official similar to a district attorney. It's very connected to law enforcement. So there's Alec Murdaugh and then Alec's wife, which was Maggie Murdaugh. And then they had 2 sons named Buster and Paul Murdaugh. And Mallory Beach is a part of a friend group: Anthony Cook, Morgan Dowdy, Paul Murdaugh, Miley Altman, and Connor Cook. All 6 of those are friends. Paul and his girlfriend, and then Connor Cook and Anthony Cook were related, and their girlfriends were really close. So the 3 girls were really close. The 3 boys are really close. They would go to the Murdaugh house and they would throw big parties. They talked about how they always had alcohol available to them. It was a lifestyle that they all become accustomed to because it was provided to them as young children.
Yeah, they had been hanging out since they were younger.
Yeah.
And I think at the time of Mallory's death, she was around 19.
Yeah, so the ages were between 18 and 20 of all 6 of them.
Imagine being a teenager and having a friend that was very well known in the community and one of the wealthiest families in the area. And then how you would feel just going over there and being able to drink and, feel grown up
and important,
prestigious and important. So I get the draw to that for sure.
Absolutely. I mean, I was a teenager and I would party.
Yeah,
and
I was
stuff.
going I didn't get any of that when I was a teenager.
Yeah.
I'd have to steal liquor from parents' cabinets or go hide in the woods and drink.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
I didn't really have any family members
that would buy it for you. We would steal shots from my friend's dad's bar.
Occasionally there'd be that cool mom or something. It's like, as long as you drink in the house, it's fine,
right. Yeah, but not like, we're going to provide all this alcohol for all of you guys to have a huge party at one of our houses in the woods and get wild and drunk and crazy to the point where Paul developed a very severe drinking problem in his teens.
Right. Also, his dad was rumored to have a very serious drug problem.
Yeah.
Doing cocaine and lots of pills and stuff like that. And his mom was known to always have a drink in her hand.
Yeah. So it's very normalized to him from a very
normalized,
young.
Yeah.
The night of this accident, all the kids decided to go have a date night because there's 3 couples, right? And they wanted to go do an oyster roast, but they heard that there were alcohol checkpoints on the way there. So Paul ended up having his dad's boat, and they were going to get alcohol and just ride the boat across the way to the oyster.
Pass all the
which kind of seems smart,
right?
But not if you're going to get shit-faced and then try to drive the boat again. They were going to go to the oyster roast and then go back to the Murdaugh's river home, which was nicknamed Murdaugh Island, on the Duchesne River in Beaver County in South Carolina. So around 5 p.m., Paul used his brother's older ID and bought a bunch of alcohol at a nearby gas station. They went by boat, and it was a 17C hunt that didn't have working lights.
Oh, okay.
The lights were broken, so it was extra not smart to drive that. The 6 friends hung out at the party for about 5 hours, and Anthony Cook, which was Mallory Beach's boyfriend, and several adults at the party mentioned that they shouldn't be driving that boat because all the alcohol they'd consumed. Anthony Cook, which was the oldest in the group, wanted everyone to take an Uber. Even several of the boaters testified that when they left the party, Paul was intoxicated, but was determined to be the one to drive the boat back. So when Paul would get drunk, his friends described in the Netflix series, it was like split personality, where you can see where that switch would flip and he would turn into what they called Timmy.
Oh, yeah. They had a whole other name for Paul. when he was drunk.
Yeah.
There was some videotape taken the night that happened.
Oh.
And you could see the way he was moving his hands and his arms.
Yeah.
He almost looked like he was possessed.
Yeah.
They were very jerky movements.
Right. And given everything his family's into, I would not surprise me.
That's true.
Paul, as an everyday person, was described as being very sweet and loving and funny and quick-witted.
Mm-hmm.
But when he would drink and became Timmy, he described as being very violent to the point where he was abusing his girlfriend.
Right.
And so you got to think, when somebody's drunk and they think it's okay to call their girlfriend like dirty names and to slap them and whatnot, which is what happened that night, what are they seeing behind closed doors to teach him that that's okay?
Right.
That has to be normalized to somebody before they just go and do it like that, you know?
Usually, yeah.
Paul was already too drunk to be driving. And before they left the party and got into the boat to drive, he went and took Connor Cook and took his brother's ID and went to Luther's, which is in downtown Buford. It's a bar. He got 2 rounds of shots. 1 lemon drop shot, 1 cup of major, and a cup of beer. Paul was in full Timmy mode. He went wild. His eyes went wild, and he threw a chair and they got kicked out. And so while this is all going on, they weren't in there very long. The other 4 people are sitting at the boat wanting to go home.
Yeah, they caught him on video at one point. They were just kind of walking around.
They were irritated at him.
But Mallory was outside with Anthony.
Yeah.
You could see them on video. And she just looked like she was so in love with him.
Right.
Like, I don't care where we are, what we're doing, freezing to death. You could tell just from that little video how in love she was with him. And I guess they had known each other pretty much their whole life.
Yeah.
And they had just recently started dating.
We talked about whether people come through and researching. Something that's different for you is that when you're researching for these episodes, somebody starts to come through on your mediumship and you have to be like, hey, I want to hear you out, but not right now. And you're used to talking to spirits just right on the spot. And so
Right.
that's been a big challenge for you. And for me, when I've been researching, I was like, man, I didn't feel Steven until the day of our episode. I didn't feel Gloria until the day of our episode. But Mallory, I felt her weeks ago.
And that's kind of crazy because I haven't felt her at all.
Yeah. So we don't know if she's going to come
I
through
felt
or not.
Steven and I felt Gloria.
Yeah.
I was pretty sure they were going to come through, but I have not felt Mallory yet. That doesn't mean to say that she won't come through.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
The thing that triggered that was you said she was looking at Anthony, her boyfriend, with such love. And something that she had said to me that I kind of forgot until now is she said, that's my sweetie.
Oh, yeah. I remember you telling me about
Yeah.
that. Yeah. Omni hit me up a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
And you told me that story that you could hear it in her voice. He's my sweetie.
Yeah.
Which was like a weird thing for you to hear because we're from Oregon. We don't
Yeah.
talk that way. And it was almost in a country accent.
It was an accent. I can't do accents. So I'm not going
Right.
to, I'm not going to say I'm so bad at accents, but yeah, she said, that's my sweetie. And I was just like, oh, okay. Something that I've been trying to connect with her. I'm not a medium, but I am on my journey to keep my mind open and try to keep access to that. But anyway, sorry, I just had to stop you there because I was like, oh, I forgot about that. I forgot that I heard that. So very much I felt a lot of love for Anthony through Mallory. So, and when you watch the interviews, Anthony's parents talks about how he would do anything for Mallory. He would protect her with his life. And so the love went both ways.
Right.
Anyways, so the other 4 were pretty irritated by the time
Right.
Timmy came out of the bar and just wanted to get back to the house at that point. The timestamps show that they were only at Luther's for about 9 minutes. So it wasn't even that long. They left the dock around 1 a.m. and Paul was very drunk. Paul was driving extremely slow and took his clothes off. The temperature was 59 degrees. It's something Paul would do when he was drunk enough to be his alter ego, Timmy. So just being extremely intoxicated. I know we've all been there where we've had to babysit somebody that just acting erratic and crazy. And you're just like, oh my God, can we just go?
I mean, I've been on the other side of that one.
I'm sure I have
Where
too.
everybody else probably
Me too.
was like, oh my God, please somebody put her clothes on. I'm laughing that I've been blackout multiple times.
We've lived a great life, okay?
I don't think I have a full name for my other personality, though.
Yeah,
so that's pretty
something else.
hardcore.
Yeah. But
Not that I know of anyway.
yeah. Nothing that you call yourself, but
Right.
maybe other people do.
I know. Maybe.
But anyways, they're all super irritated with him and they're stuck on a boat now.
Right.
So,
with no lights.
Yep, with no
Freezing
lights.
cold.
Yep, and he's getting naked
Yeah.
and driving in circles.
Jesus Christ.
He started driving in circles. When people are drunk and they're very confrontational and they pick up that people are getting irritated and they just want to be violent. And so he started purposely going in circles and just pissing everyone off. So Connor kept having to take the wheel because Paul was pacing around and started yelling at his girlfriend. Anthony and Paul started fighting because Mallory was telling Anthony that she was scared. And Paul told Mallory to shut up, which pissed Anthony off. So Mallory sitting there saying, I'm scared. I have a bad feeling. Anthony's getting protective. And Paul said, shut up. And Anthony's like, you don't want to go there. You don't want none of this. Paul leaves the wheel like 3 times as he's pacing.
Right. And Connor had to keep going back over there and grabbing the wheel. And then wasn't he getting pissed off? He's like, I'm driving. He was getting pissed off that Connor was even touching it.
But it's like, you're leaving the wheel, dude, and it's on. We're going to crash. That's when he pushes and spits on his girlfriend and slaps her in the face and called her like a slut or something, or a whore or something. With the interview with the other girl that was there, she said it became very apparent that this was, by his action and her reaction, that this was something that had already happened before. And so Mallory yelled to Paul to stop. According to the deposition to Anthony Cook, he turned and pointed at her and said, I could tell he was about to say something, and I told him not to make that mistake. And then he stared at me for a second and went to the steering wheel. I believe that's when we took off.
So that's when he was just pissed and he's like, fuck it.
Yeah.
And hit full throttle.
Yep.
Just to back up to his girlfriend in the Netflix series, that she was talking to Maggie, which is Paul's mom, one day. And Maggie was basically telling her, like, if you want to be a part of this family, this is kind of the way it works. That his grandfather and grandmother, she was thinking about getting a divorce one time, and he actually put an obituary in the newspaper about her death so she could read it.
That's so fucked.
To think twice about leaving him.
And she never left him.
No, she didn't. She did not. I believe that Maggie was almost trying to give a warning to Paul's girlfriend of like, once you're in, you're in. It's like gang life.
Yeah. I was thinking of Scarface.
You get jumped in and that's it.
Yeah.
I think that's the way their family works.
Like a mob.
Yep.
They are actually. They got drugs. They got fucking planes.
Yeah,
and
for
boats.
anybody that hasn't watched the show, they had an entire landing strip and Paul's dad had his own airplane. They were known to carry all kinds of stuff in there. And I guess Paul had bragged about they brought girls and drugs and pretty much anything you want they could have flown in.
Yep.
So this is the type of child that's in control of this boat.
Yeah. So when he took off full throttle, Anthony and Mallory sat on the floor of the boat, clinging to each other because the boat was going too fast. The boat struck a piling at the arches of the creek bridge, and Anthony and Mallory were flung into the dark, cold water. So listening to the 911 call is really heartbreaking. Connor Cook calls 911, and you can hear the girls in the background screaming, "Where the fuck is Mallory?"
From their soul.
Yeah, over and over again. And it was really upsetting listening to the dispatcher. And I know that's probably not an easy job, but it is your job. And she really muffed it up because she was asking him questions like what kind of boat it was and stuff. And she sent the first responders to the wrong bridge. It was 30 minutes before they could get there because they went to the wrong bridge. Right there, that's Mallory's life.
Right. Every second counted.
You can hear them say, "There's so much blood," in the background.
Because everybody was hurt, right?
Yeah. Anthony was in the water and he kept diving for Mallory. His shoulder was dislocated and he's still diving
And he
for
wouldn't
her.
give up. He would come up for breath and then go right back down to find her.
Which that dispatcher did resign after this.
Oh, yeah. For sure.
When the first responders got there, there were some that were assigned to look for Mallory's body in the water, and then some were assigned to treat the kids. And then the other ones were assigned to gather evidence for the criminal investigation. And in South Carolina, all boat crash investigations are handled by the South Carolina Department Natural Resources, which is DNR. The Beaver Creek County Sheriff Office collected some evidence because DNR took a while to get there. So reports from several officers on the scene indicate that there was confusion on who was driving the boat, which...
Oh, right?
Yep, which this is like another instance
this part.
Where it's very obvious that the Murdaughs were in people's pockets, especially the police department. So according to the deputy documented Beaver's office report, the deputy reported that there was a confusion on who was driving the boat, even though Anthony Cook told the officer it was Paul. They even have body cam
Everybody
footage.
said it was Paul.
Yeah.
Everybody on the boat said it was Paul except for Paul.
And there's body cam footage of this.
Right.
The only person that said it wasn't Paul
Was Paul.
or
Or Timmy or whoever he was at the moment. And he was trying to blame it on Connor.
Yep. He's trying to blame it on Connor, and there was no indication from him at that point in time that he gave a shit about Mallory and where she was. He didn't care.
Right. And he was like never arrested.
Never put in handcuffs.
Never put in handcuffs, any of that stuff. Like that would have been you or me. And a whole boat full of people were like, yeah, Omni was driving the boat.
You'd be in handcuffs.
You would be in that hospital bed with handcuffs on.
Yeah.
And an officer outside of your door.
Yeah.
That's just the way it works.
It's procedure.
And they were talking earlier that he had gotten to a DUI accident in his truck with his girlfriend before that happened. And he flipped the truck and she was going to call the police, like call 911.
Oh, yeah, and a bunch of
he's
guns
like,
came
no,
out.
don't do that. Like, I'm going to call my grandpa. So he called like his grandpa or his dad or something like that. He called a family member to come out and they came and cleaned everything up.
And they lectured her on wanting to call the police because you could have got us in trouble and that's not what you do.
So that's how Paul was raised.
Yeah.
He was raised to throw doubt. Now, Connor had touched the wheel.
Yeah.
So his fingerprints would have been on it.
Yep.
And as long as you show reasonable doubt that it's not you, then they can't prove it beyond a shadow of a doubt in court. So that's probably his mentality is, my dad can get me out of this.
Yep. Because he has. He's gotten him out of so many things and himself.
So when you grow up being raised that way.
It's almost like, what do you expect?
But this whole time, he's not even thinking about Mallory.
Nope.
He's thinking about his own ass and blaming Connor.
Or
While
his
Mallory's
friends that are
still
hurt.
missing. Right.
One has a broken jaw, the other has a dislocated. Like, if you watch the interview, Connor has like a scar on his face from this, like a deep scar. If you watch the interviews, and they're saying there's blood everywhere. He doesn't seem to give a fuck about any of his friends, especially Mallory.
And we can't say what's in his heart. He was really drunk and stuff like that. There's some gray area. And I know that he was close with all of them. So in hindsight, probably the next day or two when reality probably kicked in, you never know how he was feeling. But in that moment, really showed his true colors.
Yeah, the way he was raised to be, because he was probably sitting there thinking, wow, my dad's going to kill me.
Yeah, I have to do everything I can. So
yeah, let me get to my dad. And he was saying that I need to call my dad. Probably so, like, tell me what to do.
Right.
Because he does what he's told, as they've said. So another report says that Paul was almost aggressive towards the medics. So that's the other thing, is that the medics were trying to check him out and he was being aggressive and drunk. And so when they took him into the hospital, they drew his blood for his blood alcohol content because he was acting so crazy. But they didn't breathalyze him at the scene. The police officers did not give him a field sobriety test. They did not breathalyze him. They only had proof that he was drunk because the nurses drew his blood.
Oh, so that kind of shows the corruption within that as well.
Yeah.
Because that's mandatory.
Yeah.
That's just procedure to do that in any kind of DUI accident.
Yep.
That's the first thing they do.
When you go over all the police officers that were there, they all were connected to the Murdaughs.
Right.
Not only did he not get arrested, but it took 2 months for Paul to even get charged for 3 DUI felonies. That's insane. Which happened to be, when he got charged, was Mallory's birthday. Synchronistic.
Aww.
Yeah. In May of 2019, there was a bond hearing. He wasn't ordered to wear an alcohol monitor. This is crazy. Instead, he was ordered to stay within 5-county region in South Carolina. He just murdered somebody. So the group that was assigned to looking for Mallory did not find her that night. In fact, her body was not found for another week or so. And that was after the whole county came together to search for her down the river. The current was super strong. It was very cold and there was no lights anywhere because they were under a bridge and the boat didn't have lights on it. So it was just a really unfortunate circumstances. So you just murdered somebody and you're not put in handcuffs. You're not in jail. You don't have to wear a fucking ankle monitor. Like what? You're just ordered to stay within a 5 count, not even your house.
Yeah,
just,
you're not on house arrest.
Yeah, 5 counties. That's insane. Privilege. He never even had handcuffs put on him, and he was never put in a jumpsuit. He didn't even get a normal mugshot. He had his picture taken in the courthouse, hallway, in normal clothes.
Oh, that's right.
Yes.
I remember that. I'm like, how the fuck? Like, that's money.
Yep.
That's money.
That's money. Yeah. You don't even have to wear a jumpsuit or go.
Nope.
You just get your picture taken by probably an iPhone in the hallway. That's insane. July of 2019, Paul's attorney asked the court to loosen his bond conditions.
Jesus.
Because they were so tight in the first place. They asked him to be able to roam all of South Carolina like he's a fucking horse. The attorney general asked to at least put an alcohol monitor on him. She was denied.
Oh, so he was still getting fucked up. No alcohol treatment center, like none of that.
The attorney general was like, can we at least put a monitor on?
Right.
Nope.
No.
Denied. There was a civil case. Paul was never named in the civil lawsuit, even though he was charged with 3 felony DUI counts. The civil case by Mallory Beach's mother blamed the convenience store and the influence of Paul's family, primarily his father. So basically, like the convenience store that sold them all the alcohol when their ID was not theirs, and Paul's father, Alec, making alcohol so accessible to them, and all these kids saying like, yeah, we party at their house and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. I mean, I understand the convenience store, but as a server myself, I check IDs all the time. I'm not going to lie, kind of just look at the picture, look at the face, see if they match up. And Buster, his older brother, and him did look very much
They
alike.
did. It shouldn't pass in court or anything. But the point is that they were so well known around town. They knew he wasn't of age, but he had an ID that was close enough. And they shouldn't be held accountable at that point. The ID was close enough.
Yeah.
They do look a lot alike.
They do. I mean, I could have even made that mistake, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I could have. Also, they were in Hampton where everybody knows everybody. So they knew. It was a blind eye because they're in a position of power. Okay, so the next hearing was supposed to be June 10th. Alec would have been required to provide previously requested financial documents. So then this brought light to his financial schemes.
Oh, okay.
So this is why everybody started looking into the shit he was doing financially. And this is what shed light on. If you haven't listened to the last 2 episodes of our true crime crossover, it's episode 25 and 26 about Stephen Smith and Gloria Satterfield. And it goes over their murders and the financial crimes that Alec committed in correlation to their murders. And then at the end of both episodes, Sahdi is able to channel both of them.
We're kind of doing it in chronological order, unlike the Netflix series.
A lot of them bounce around and they start with the boat crash because that does shed light on everything else. But we wanted to do it chronologically because
it just makes more sense.
Yeah, it does.
And it's easier to follow because there's a lot of information.
That we wanted to honor each victim. It does feel like Gloria and Stephen were more of an afterthought, and we wanted to get what happened to them.
But this boating accident with Mallory really brought light to Stephen and Gloria and had people really starting to take a longer and harder look at the Murdaughs.
Yeah, and they ended up finding her a week later. I think a boater found her down the stream. I guess Anthony, Mallory's boyfriend, and Paul were super close, like brothers. And he said a few days after that, Paul had told him he's sorry. And he was like, he was hurting. He wasn't this narcissistic person. And he continued to drink and to party. And one of the girls, I think it was Miley, talked about how she really felt that they weren't honoring Mallory's memory or continued to party. So afterwards, there was a lot of hate thrown onto Paul because he was continuing to drink and party. Well, he's supposed to be in sort of probation for murdering somebody in a boat crash. It was completely avoidable. I mean, this case is pretty straightforward. We all know who murdered Mallory Beach, and it's unlike the other 2 that we did where we have our own theories and whatnot. I think this is more of just, if Mallory does want to come through, we want to go over this case because it does show far deep that the Murdaughs are into the law enforcement's pocket. It's just another instance of that. And this is also the catalyst that did shed light onto Stephen Smith's case and to Gloria Satterfield's and on a case going forward. And if Mallory Beach wants to come through and have a message she wants to get to family or anything she wants to be heard on, we're going to try to do that. But it's not a case of where we're trying to figure out who murdered her. We know.
Right. Yeah, let's take a few moments for me to meditate on that and try to see if I can connect with her. Okay, we took a short break and I channeled the energy of Mallory. We're going to do this really quick. What I'm picking up on is her energy is so high vibrational that it's not easy for her to connect to this realm. At all. She's not here very often, and I believe that's why I wasn't picking up on her while doing research. So we have some questions. She is here right now.
Yeah. We burned some ancestral money.
Yeah. It's very hard. If you can think on levels of vibration, she's vibrating more in a 4th or 5th dimensional vibration. And it's almost like a magnet pushing her, repelling her from here in this space. So she's still here.
Mallory, is there something that you want to say to be heard on?
She said she lives in laughter. She's saying that she lives in the laughter of her family. She has an extremely hard time coming and consoling or comforting when she's missed. But during events like Thanksgiving, she says, like dinners and things like that, when her name's brought up and there's laughter, that's what draws her closer. She's not here in this third dimension very often. She's very forgiving. She holds no hate or hostility or pain from this lifetime. And as I'm talking right now, I just feel really light. I feel very like energetic, like I just drank a cup of coffee or something.
Yeah, that's why when I brought up her Anthony, she said, that's my sweetie, because I was thinking about their love.
Mm-hmm. And she said that some of her family would be very against, very skeptical about this type of thing.
Oh, yeah.
She's talking really fast.
Yeah.
But she's got a huge smile on her face. She's definitely making moves. She's helping souls in the higher realms. Very energetic, very nurturing.
Yeah. I was feeling healer from her.
Yeah. It's kind of like this cheerleader energy that I'm getting from her. It's kind of like peppy. She's kind of like pushing souls between dimensions when they're almost there. She's like, okay, come on. Like you're almost there. Let's go, let's go, let's go.
Like
and she'll
a coach.
Vibrate. She's almost like, she uses her energy to vibrate them higher to get to the next level. But I can feel her pulling right now. It's like she's almost like vibrating really hard to try to stay here with us right now.
Ask her about her jaw or something happened to her voice. I got this really overwhelming feeling that she either broke her jaw and couldn't talk, but maybe my feeling is that she couldn't talk because she couldn't be here.
When it comes to the accident, she was pretty drunk herself, she says.
Yeah.
She remembers swallowing water, but she was pretty incoherent at the time. She choked a little. Her body felt so cold that she almost couldn't feel it. And so she was saying that she just was definitely really out of it. But she does remember drowning. She wasn't completely knocked out for that.
Remember I told you a few weeks ago?
Yeah.
When I channeled her, I felt like that burning.
Yeah.
When you get water.
Yeah, she said, yeah, I felt it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
She said it was pretty quick. And she was pretty out of it while it was happening. So it wasn't as traumatic as it could have been.
Yeah.
And so she feels lucky
She's
for that.
positive, yeah.
She's a very positive person. She's like, yeah, it wasn't as bad as it could have been. I was pretty fucked up.
It's probably why she's on the realm.
Yeah, she's definitely instantly hit the higher dimensions. She wasn't around for the first little bit while they were searching and things like that. She wasn't here for that. Mm-hmm. She was in a higher dimension doing other things.
Is there any messages she wants to get to her family or Anthony? Just
remember her smile, and she lives in laughter. Like that's what she keeps saying. She's like, when they smile and when they remember the good things about me, when their heart fills up with love, they're going to feel me there.
I feel like that'll be me.
Yeah, that'll be me.
Yeah.
And she's like, and I live in their laughter, and I'm not exactly sure what that means, but she said they will. Yeah. And they have those funny moments and they laugh and they remember things. Her energy is so high vibrational that if they're having like a hard time, and she said it's really difficult probably for them to understand because she was always the person that would be there for them in a hard time. She energetically cannot. When they're in a very low vibration and they're like, Mallory, be with me, help me through this. She can't do that. So they have to raise their she's saying they have to raise their vibration to meet her or she can meet them.
Yeah.
If they go down too low, she can't get at them.
Yeah.
Her energetic body is so intensely high vibrational that it's like almost like this magnet that repels her away from anybody with like a negative energy at the time. Even her dad, she's mentioning dad, even her family. And so she's like, if you want me, you have to call on me in the highest light, highest vibration. You
think of the good memories.
Yeah.
Well, I'm thinking of Peter Pan. Think happy thoughts. Think happy thoughts.
Yeah.
She's Tinkerbell.
Yeah. Even now, I had to raise my vibration to be able to connect with her.
Yeah, you're buzzing.
Yeah, right now, I just feel like,
I
don't feel any heaviness like I usually feel a lot of times when I'm doing energy work. I feel like almost like I should have done some jumping jacks before, really got my energy super high vibrational with her. So she's like, yeah.
Live in laughter.
Yeah, live in my laughter.
That must be why I connected to her.
Mm-hmm. So that's basically the message that she's trying to get out right now, is that to anybody that's listening that loves her, ever knew her, she's sorry, but she can't meet you in a low vibrational state. So she's like, get gassed up, like get juiced up, like be happy and raise that energy.
Yeah.
And then you can feel me, and then I'll be there.
Yeah.
And you can call to me there, but don't call me in the darkest hours, because it feels bad for her. She doesn't want to not be there. She just energetically cannot. Her vibration won't let her. So
you've never encountered this before?
No, this is my first time.
I don't think I've ever heard you talk about.
So thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you for teaching me this right now.
She's like an angel.
Yeah, definitely. She's like more fairy energy than anything, but she's like,
see,
you can
that's
call
why
me
we
angel.
connected.
She's got like a really like, I'm shaking. Like my whole body is just shaking right now, but in a good way.
That's why we connected, girl. I got that fairy energy.
Right. Yeah. She's definitely, and she was like that in life too.
Sunshine.
Mm-hmm. But she could make you feel better just from being around you. And that's how she's making me feel right now.
Yeah.
She's like, come on, let's go. Like, yeah, she says there's no message. And
because she knows there's more to life than life.
Yeah, she's gone.
Yeah. She's like, all right, I gotta
sorry,
go
I
fly.
didn't even get to say goodbye. We were talking and she left. That was crazy.
Yeah. I gotta take her name out of my pillowcase.
Yeah.
So I don't think I shared this on here, is that, well, I did share when I said something about Anthony. She goes, that's my sweetie. And then I felt the drowning sensation. And I was like, I don't know if that was Mallory or what. And I wrote her name down and put it in my pillowcase so she can give me a message. And she might have in my dreams. I don't remember them.
Yeah, it was like so crazy though, because usually, like I said, when I'm researching or anything, I'll start to feel messages and get signs from them that they're around me. And I never felt that with her.
But that makes
sense. And it
sense.
wasn't until we sat down with the candles and we turned the lights down low, I got on the floor and I started meditating and putting myself kind of into a trance, and we started lighting ancestor money.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden I was like, oh, like I felt her and I instantly knew like, oh, I have to raise my vibration and meet her where she is, because she's not here anymore.
Yeah. She's like, if we're going to do this, we got to do it quick.
And I know I like jumped up so fast. I was like, we have to go right now, because I don't think she's going to be here very long.
Yeah.
And she was even talking about like, a lot of times when spirits cross, especially that fast, they're kind of earthbound for a little while. They talk about being at their own funerals and stuff like that. She didn't. She was not there.
She was straight up.
She was like, yep.
Into basically heaven.
Right. To the higher dimensions.
Yeah,
for
the
sure.
higher
Like
dimensions.
she was sheltered from that, I believe.
Yeah.
She remembered it a little bit.
Yeah.
The actual drowning part.
I talked to Sahdi before this episode. I said, I just want to know if she broke her jaw or something, because I just feel like she can't talk and it's driving me crazy. And I feel like it's because I was translating her not being able to talk as like, hey, girl, I can't be down here talking to you every 2 seconds.
Right.
I think that's what it was.
Too.
Because
spirits really do speak in metaphors sometimes too.
I kept seeing a broken jaw in my head. I don't understand this.
Maybe broken connection.
Yes.
Or
that's what I'm.
That she can't, yeah,
it makes so much sense now.
Yeah.
No, I can't be down there talking to you all the time.
So anybody that's on the path, and whether you're a medium or just learning how to do that, when you're doing it, I always encourage Omni to just really don't doubt yourself. She's like, well, maybe not. And I'm like, no.
Yeah.
They're speaking to you. You just have to be able to feel it. So I'm proud of you for that.
You.
And I do believe that was probably her coming through and being like, I can't.
Yeah.
And just that energy that she had, like with her family, it was almost like she wanted to say it in a sad way. Like, I'm sorry, I can't be there for them. But she couldn't even do that. She just was like, I'm sorry, they have to be happy. They can't call on me when they're down. They have to call on
That'd
me when
be
they're
me
up.
when I cross over. Listen, I don't want to listen, Linda.
Linda.
I don't want to hear you cry all the time. Be happy.
Right. And it wasn't that she didn't want to hear them do that. It's just she was just putting out some kind of energy that her field was too high of a vibration to get that low. It just won't go there.
She's like cheerleaders for spirits.
Like she's out of the third dimension now. She's like, it's really hard for me to come back.
Yeah.
And if I do come back, I need to be praised. I could just see people just laughing and live in their laughter. I've never heard that before.
I love that.
I got chills. I was like, girl, what are you saying right now? That's
I know.
Beautiful. Oh, I'm so happy she came through. I was a little nervous.
Yeah. Yeah. I was like, I felt her a few weeks ago, but I have not felt her since. So I was like, I hope she comes through. But that makes perfect sense now.
And she was even kind of like, I don't even know if some of my family, and she's like, some of my family is not going to really resonate.
Oh, yeah.
With that.
Yeah.
She still came through. and said what she had to say. So I appreciate her for that. I know it was
Yeah.
hard. Can you imagine being a fourth or fifth dimensional being and having to like,
It's almost like swimming to the bottom of a lake, all that like the pressure and stuff, and you're constantly trying to swim against being floated back up.
yeah, she was definitely being pulled back. I don't know if this is her last lifetime or what's going on there, but if she does reincarnate, I don't think it'll be anytime soon because she's just there. I'd love to talk to her.
Yeah.
Again.
You're like, I need a
Like,
shot.
where are you? What dimension are you on? How do I do that when I cross over?
Yeah, be my cheerleader.
Right? Teach me how you did that. But I think it was just the way she was in life too. You know, when you're that high vibrational of a person and you're that caring, and I don't know, maybe you just go straight up. You just got that free pass.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Thank you,
I'm
Mallory.
so glad we did this.
Me too. See, nervous she wouldn't come through, and she's like, I will swim down to you guys. Just hurry up.
I don't know if I'm going to be able to sleep tonight. That was an incredible feeling. And we're drinking tea that's supposed to calm us down.
Yeah.
And I was yawning an hour ago.
Yeah.
And now I just feel so charged. And I compared it to caffeine, but it's not like jittery.
Yeah.
It's just like you just won
Like
the
watch.
jackpot, like $5,000 at a casino, that kind of feeling.
Yeah. Like
whoa,
your
like-
favorite game just won.
Yeah,
the
it's like that
championship.
kind of, that's the energy that she gave me, was almost like just
Adrenaline.
adrenaline.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm grateful for that.
Yeah.
Right now, I'm really humbled.
And it's a new experience. When Sahdi first connected to her, she goes, she's here. And then she goes, oh, okay, now I understand.
And then I was like, we need to do this right now.
I was like, okay, get off the floor.
We both jumped up so fast.
Let's do this. All right. Well, thank you to all the listeners.
Thank you for listening.
Make sure you hit that subscribe button to listen to the 4th installment of our true crime crossover.
Fourth and final episode.
4th and final, yes. Last season, we only did 1 episode for our true crime. We're doing 4 this time. Make sure you hit that subscribe button so you can see all of our upcoming episodes of season 3. As always, remember to keep your minds open.
Namaste.